You are watching the Midtable Up Podcast highlights. Please put your foot through that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, as well as Spotify and the Podcasts app. So, my number 10, I have decided to go with who I think is the GOAT, and that's Lionel Messi. And to be fair,
number 10?
Yeah, well, the only reason why I put him at number 10 is probably because I don't think he speaks that great English, so...
So, George, how is your Spanish?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
But it would be really cool to meet him, I think, because obviously it's Lionel Messi. You think of what he's done in the game. You think of the calibre of player he is.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable stuff.
He's alright. I've heard he's alright.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Decent left foot.
He's got a decent left foot.
He's fine.
Yeah.
So that was basically why I went with. Messi.
The only thing I would say, would you think Messi would be like a lot of fun? I don't because I know he's quite. I don't know, it seems quite quiet and quite... I don't know if you'd be very forthcoming.
A little bit. I kind of get where you're coming from with that. I'm not too sure. To be honest with you, I'd kind of just, even if it was just a sit-down chat for 5-10 minutes, that's...
You just stare at him the whole time.
Pretty much, to be fair. He has gotten...
I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah, no, he's gotten way more handsome over the years, you go back, 12 years or so ago, he didn't look all that, but yeah, he's definitely more handsome now.
George, it's the beard. Any man with a beard automatically
100%.
adds 2 points to your attractiveness.
That's what we were just... Me and Simon were talking about this, and he's got, the beard, he looks like 1,000 years younger. He looks like baby Messi again. It's weird. I don't know why he decided to shave. Probably because he's got some job interviews coming up, but...
Possibly. Yeah, he just wants to give him a good impression.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he wants out of Barcelona, so maybe that was his hint to say he's on the market.
Possibly,
shave the beard.
Exactly.
Yeah, shave the beard,
he's going to have a new
suit.
Tinder profile up and running soon and everything,
I'd swipe on him.
Oh, mate, 100%. But yeah, as I said, it's just a language barrier thing.
I reckon his English is pretty decent. I don't think there's any way he's had the career he's had without learning enough English to get by.
Yeah.
He's played at World Cups, he's played it all over the place.
Yeah, he has, but he's never played in England or anywhere that's...
No, but he will dealt with English media probably enough times to... And he's a brand ambassador for Nike and people. They
he is,
do that
but
if it was no English.
But they probably just put a script in front of him, and he probably just has a translator on set that says, "Yeah, pronounce it like this," and then he just goes, "Okay," and then he forgets about it. That's what I would imagine. I do know what you mean, because obviously, he's got great sponsorship details, but even seeing him things like the Pepsi Max advert and the Adidas stuff that he does.
I love that advert.
That was a great advert for the 2010 World Cup. But even in those adverts, you don't really need... Yeah, but you don't really need Messi to speak. You kind of just need him to turn up, wear the shit, kick a ball, and then go home. You don't really have him, making... being the narrator of your advert. So, as I said, that's probably why he's that low down. But I did have to include probably the greatest player of all time.
Similar reasons why you've got Messi, but without the language barrier.
Yeah.
It's partly why I also think that I feel like Ronaldo would be more fun. I don't know if that is accurate, but he seems like he would have a lot of connections.
I see. I think the opposite. I reckon he would actually be a bit boring. And the reason I say that, not boring, I think he'd be interesting to have a chat to, but I feel like he's not someone that goes out flash. And the reason I say that is because there's a really interesting story. I think it was Patrice Evra and Ferdinand.
Oh, good old Patrice. We love Patrice.
They went round his house when he was at United, and it was on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Oh, I've heard this story.
And he was like, "Yeah, lads, do you want to go jump in the gym?" Or it was something along those lines.
Yeah.
And it's the story Rio Ferdinand always tells about just how dedicated of a player and of a person he is.
Yeah.
So
I think that's right. And partially that's what I've always really respected about him. He's a player who I feel has kind of got the most out of his game. Like, he has squeezed every ounce out of himself that he could have got. And I admire that ability to stick. And I think one thing I'd love to know, like, from Ronaldo is how did he have that mentality of continually striving to be better and better and better?
I think it's got to be an obsession, probably even more than that. It's got to be an absolute hunger, you know. It's got to be probably the one thing that drives you. Everything else, you could almost go, as long as I've got food and somewhere to sleep, nothing else but this matters, kind of thing.
I mean, I think the difference between Messi and Ronaldo is I feel like Messi's so naturally gifted. Like, he could almost not play football for 5 years and he would still be as good as ever.
Yeah.
In a way. But I think Ronaldo has to work, like, twice as hard to get almost as much, if not... I mean, depending where you level and rate them, which I think is a stupid comparison. But to get that out of his game, I feel like he's worked that much harder to be at that level.
Yeah.
And I do respect that about him, and I think he's... Just as you say, that just have that mentality, that drive, that focus, next goal, play game after game, never letting your standards drop, and never accepting mediocrity.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
It's what I find so interesting about those guys is like the whole Messi Ronaldo thing. Regardless of what, it's almost like someone wrote a story.
How much do you think that they both drive each other? Because I imagine that Messi drives Ronaldo quite a lot. How much do you think Ronaldo drives Messi?
I think probably more than Messi would ever tell anybody.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's always that thing of, if you're the best, you need someone to push you. I just think during eras where there's a real lull in players and there's not quite the same standard of competition, there's no one's continually making sure you top the list. I don't think if Messi and Ronaldo didn't have each other, we would have seen the Ballon d'Or being won by the same people for 10 years. Like, that just wouldn't have happened. One season, there would have been a dip in form, there would have been something just to be like, they'd have rested on their laurels, it would have gone a bit flat for a year. It happens unless somebody's pushing you. And I think you're right. I do think Messi pushes Ronaldo more than the other way round. But I also think that Messi would never reveal how much that Ronaldo pushes him, because he definitely does. There's no way he couldn't, is there? I mean, when you know the other guy's 10 out of 10, you know the only 10 out of 10 will do. That's how you've got to be.
It's almost better in the way that that each of them only really have that one rival, in that they're out on their own. Nobody else is worthy of their space in that argument, really.
They're on another level. He's won 4 Champions Leagues. He's played in 3 different countries. Just like his experience of football has been amazing. Like, the way that he's kind of gone around. He's continually won in every country. And Messi definitely could have done, but obviously he's only stayed at Barcelona his whole career. That's not a dig at Messi. Barcelona's a fantastic club. But I would love to know, like, the differences between Italy, Spain, England, how the training is different, how the game is different, and how you had to change his game to adapt to certain different countries and that kind of thing.
Yeah. It would also, with like, the question I'd also ask Ronaldo if I met him is, when are you going to pack it in?
I reckon he's got another 4 years in him.
I would say, playing as a professional, I could see him playing.
Well, he must be 35 by now, so...
I can see...
But what I love about Ronaldo in terms of when he's got older is he's changed his game. He knows he can't run anymore, so he stays in the box, in the business end of the pitch. Be in the red zone, be there where it counts. We don't need you sprinting 40 yards to defend. Stay up front and get the goals. That's what you're good for. And he's changed his game to be that player, which is fantastic.
I remember when he used to play for Manchester United, and he was a trickster. That was basically what you associated him with, that having all the flicks and the tricks to beat a man and then get a good cross in. And, you know, obviously he did have that year where he did score 40 goals. But at the same time, you still always kind of felt that his game was more about beating players and taking players on. And obviously he's evolved into probably the best out-and-out goal scorer there's ever been. At least in terms of, you know, like, I want to say almost an out-and-out striker in that kind of sense. But the thing is with Ronaldo, I think he retires when he doesn't think that he can hit the standards that he sets himself.
He's earned the right to go out on his own terms, hasn't he? Let's be fair.
I don't see him, because you know how like some players, regardless of how good they were, what level they played at, some players will go on until they are, I don't know, he's nearly, he's approaching 40 now, but some players will go on until they are 40, but they'll drop down leagues and stuff like that in order to carry on doing that. I don't think Ronaldo would ever get to a point where he'd drop down leagues. I think Ronaldo would basically get to a point where he goes, right, if I can't do it for a club that's realistically going to be competing for titles and going to be competing for Champions League, that's my time to bow out.
It's just where you draw the line.
Well, yeah, when the day comes that he doesn't think he can do that anymore, that's when I think he's going to call it a day. So
that'd be a sad day for football.
It would be a very sad day for football. So that was your number 8, Simon.
Yep.
Matt, who are you going with?
That's the final whistle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Midtable and Up podcast. If you enjoy our top 10 lists, please make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Let us know what you would have done differently. If you watch this episode on YouTube, make sure to put your foot through that subscribe button and leave a like on the video, as well as follow us on Spotify, the podcast app, to keep up to date with the series. Thank you very much. See you next time.